Hey guys, this is Lola, but you can call me Lola if you like.
Hi, this is Velisa, and you can call me Velisa if you want. And this is another special episode of the Everybody Hates HR podcast.
Every episode is a special episode when it comes to the Everybody Hates HR pod.
Okay, you're doing too much.
No, but it is. It's
Okay.
a very special episode. I would also like to let everybody at home know that Velisa is rushing me so that she can get home and watch Love Island.
It's Casa Amor week.
But I'm gonna take my time. I'm gonna take my time with you guys. Don't worry.
Okay, me. In all transparency, I need to see this Casa Amor week through.
Yeah.
And when they come back into the villa,
comes out, Casa Amor will be done.
Okay, so let me be there to witness it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was a strong start yesterday, though.
Yeah, I didn't need Molly back.
No, I don't like that. Also, she came on Smoke like her and Zach are married.
She's so stupid. Like, it's a game. What did you want him to do? Go and sit in the corner?
Yeah, like, if he was really about it, he would have left with you. Anyone who stays.
Yeah, what was it Theo said in that love? Leave with her then.
Yeah, no, but honestly,
yeah,
if he would have left with you, obviously he was going to, I swear to God, she left and he was like, right.
Yeah, she's not beating the what's it called? The Nepo.
Yeah, it's bad.
Allegations.
She got an agent.
Yeah, have you seen her TikTok? She gets millions of views. She's not a small girl. So she needed this. She needed to come back. Otherwise, she went too early and she's forgotten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is what it is. So what are we doing today?
What are we doing today? So we thought that it would be quite fun-ish. To do things, to talk about things that we would not do or do as employees, but with a HR lens.
Yeah. So as HR people, if we weren't HR people, know what we know, what would we not do?
Yeah, or do. Yeah.
So you want to kick us off?
One thing that I would not do is not follow up after an uncomfortable conversation. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a peer, a manager, a director, like anybody. If you made me feel uncomfortable, there's going to be a follow-up email to you so that you know that you made me feel uncomfortable, and whatever transpires after that happens, like, is what it is. But
so what, give us a little excerpt. What kind of thing are you writing in this email?
I'm writing what happened.
And how it made you feel?
What happened, how it made me feel, the impact on me, and then the ball is in their court. Depending on what happens next will determine what my next steps are. And
I've witnessed your next steps when they don't do the right thing.
Honestly, if I could, anyways.
If you ever receive one of these emails from Velisa and you've made her uncomfortable, and she's a very reasonable person, so she tells you that you've made her uncomfortable, you probably did something wrong. At that point, be apologizing.
Literally. That's all I want, I'm a simple girl.
Be apologizing. I acknowledge what you did.
Literally, that's all I want. But if you don't, oh my gosh. Then
it's for your own good.
Yeah, I can't help you for that pepper that you feel afterwards. But because, and we've spoken about it before, but I guess because of where I am in my career, I feel a lot more comfortable having certain conversations and following up with certain documentation. But honestly, it's just helpful to have, because especially as being in ER, everything I do is based on fact finding. So if you don't have that documentation of when someone made you feel uncomfortable, where your manager has said something that you feel at a later date is relevant based on your situation at work, so something I would never do is not document. And we in HR say it all the time, document.
Yeah.
You feel uncomfortable, it's had a significant impact on you, it felt weird to you, even if you just document it to yourself, just do it.
Yeah. And if you email the person as well, like, it doesn't have to be so adversarial. Like, I'm not really a believer in teaching people stuff that they should know.
Just
but just to tell them how you felt. Yeah. It doesn't have to be like super confrontational. You're not asking for anything. If you're not demanding an apology, you're just telling them. And some people would actually rather know.
Yeah.
Some people would rather not, but
yeah,
you know.
But I will. One thing you shouldn't do though is cry. If you cry,
talk to the person.
If I've told you you've made me feel uncomfortable,
oh no, hell
and then
no.
you,
hell no,
because that's happened to me before as well.
It was even in that video we're talking about just then. Like when someone tells you that it's giving Sharon Osbourne.
Literally,
you know that show. Yeah, they're like, oh, you said something offensive. Oh, you're making me look bad. Like, no, none of that.
Yeah, like none
of that.
Yeah, like if you cry, you've
yeah, if you try
confirmed your fate
and
with
victimize
me.
yourself.
Yeah, that's it. I'm done with you.
Yeah,
like I will never speak to you again unless I have to professionally.
Yeah,
I'll be done with you.
Yeah, obviously not from like a saying something offensive perspective, but that's literally what Jess did when in Love Island when Whitney and Catherine were like, but you've been talking about Molly, like, and she said, no, I haven't. And then suddenly she had, let's just start there.
Yeah.
She had, and then she started crying. Oh, I'm not having this conversation with you anymore. It's like, okay, why are you crying? And
then also like Mehdi jumping to every white woman's defense in the villa, but then Whitney, who he's paired up with, like, never jumping to her defense but always making assumptions. Catherine, whenever she cried, like no one will jump to her, but whenever Jess cried, like it's all, you know, and it's like that's I'm not saying Jess's tears were not warranted, but
no, Jess's tears were not warranted.
But it's just a representation of like how things often go, like in the real world, like even the tears are interpreted differently, which is crazy.
Yeah, honestly. So yeah, document everything.
Yeah.
If someone makes you feel uncomfortable. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. My first one would be I would never go unaccompanied to any sort of ER meeting. Yeah. So like let's say I had a disciplinary, or even if I had raised a grievance or anything I'm invited to where I have the right to be accompanied, I'm gonna be accompanied. Like if there is somebody, if you're a member of a union, then obviously if you want to take someone from a union, you can. But if not, I would. And I think sometimes people are really embarrassed
to tell
someone what's going on, even if they are the alleged victim or whatever. Like people can just be very embarrassed, especially if someone's saying, like, let's say people are saying that you were like sexual misconduct. If you know you haven't done it, if you know you've done it, then obviously there's a different situation. But if you actually feel that there's something to defend or you want to defend yourself, I would always take someone, because I think sometimes people can underestimate what it feels like to be sat in a meeting with at least two other people that you feel are not on your side. So you have like usually the note taker, and you have the person chairing the disciplinary or whatever it is. And even if it's like a redundancy meeting or something, like having somebody who's there to support you, it just makes you feel like you got a gang with you. Do you know what I mean? Like you would just feel more powerful, and you can see like people come into meetings alone and they just shrink. Like they just feel like it. Sometimes, even though it's not supposed to, people will typically, if there's someone in HR and like your manager, for instance, people will typically see HR as being on the side of the manager. So True. You now feel like you're being ganged up against, even if you're not.
Yeah.
So I think taking someone in is so good. And also just having a witness, especially if you don't trust, like apparently people don't trust HR. But if you don't trust HR, you don't trust your manager, if it's that sort of thing, take someone in with you, because a lot of the time you might make notes of what was said, but they're never going to be as good as the person who's in the meeting to make notes. And if they contradict, they're probably going to go with what that note taker wrote. And so you can, not that I would, but in HR or managers, or especially if the second person is not even in HR, they can omit things from the notes, they can misinterpret, and if they're not making the notes verbatim, by the time it comes out what was said in the meeting, it might not necessarily be what was said or the essence of what you said. And having somebody else that was in there that can witness what was said and even sometimes make notes for you is really helpful.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's good to have someone with you, because when you're going through it, just how you're hearing things, how you're internalizing things will be different to someone who is basically external, even if they work for your company, but they can be objective while listening to certain things that are being said and asked to you. And when you are accompanied, particularly for disciplinaries, you can take breaks with the person who
I was
accompanied
going to
you.
say that, yeah.
So you can have discussions, and that person may give you some clarity that you may not have got because, I don't know, you're emotional, you're tired, you're stressed, whatever it is. So they're just a good,
even how you interpret things in that moment. Like that person can be like, listen, I don't think that's what they're trying to say, or I don't think you're getting it here, but this is not looking good for you. I once had, I think I might have mentioned, I had a disciplinary, a grievance hearing. Somebody had raised a grievance vexatiously, so it basically ended up being like a false allegation, right? And then so we had to then feedback that we've done an investigation, and through this that you actually admitted that it wasn't true. And then the person basically doubled down in that meeting, the employee, and then their union rep was like, oh, can we take 5 minutes? And then they went outside, they came back. Before they went out, the employee was like, it's just had such a terrible impact on my health, my mental health, my physical health. I really can't believe this. You don't think it's true? Then she came back and she said, you know what? I just want to put this all behind me. And it was clear that the union rep had said to her, sis, this is what you're doing is not going to help you. Like, you're actually wrong. You need to apologize. And so she came back to the meeting. She said, I just want to put this behind me. And honestly, like, I'm so sorry for any. And I was thinking, how has this changed? But it's good because she was not and also it's all like there's notes of everything that was said, and we know you admitted in the investigation that you lied. So now coming back to it, like, it's just silly. But yeah, having somebody in there just to kind of like support you, and obviously they can't answer questions on your behalf or anything like that, but they can ask questions, and you can just having someone to confer with. It's not a flex, but being in a disciplinary meeting or any sort of meeting and having someone accompanied and asking if you can take 5 minutes, if you can adjourn the meeting to discuss. I just think it's funny.
So do you remember when I said when I was at John Lewis?
Yeah.
Because I was always being disciplined. That's one of the reasons why my interest in HR was sparked. And I'd always take a friend with me, but not because I thought they could help me. I was like, do you want to get off the shop floor?
Yeah.
And I would always I'd be like, excuse me, sorry. Our manager was called Phil. So I'd be like, excuse me, Phil, I need 5 minutes with and we'd just go talk.
What kind of things were you being disciplined for?
Too many sick days. Like, there's a few times I turned up and then I didn't turn up and I didn't really say I wasn't turning up. But in general, when I worked, I was good. Everyone loved me. Like, I was a good employee when I was there.
That probably worked in your favor.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't go unaccompanied to any of those sort of meetings.
It's frustrating when I hear that people are not being accompanied, especially when, not where I work, but obviously when you work in HR, you have friends and family that come to you. And I've had people come to me and ask for advice and then go to a meeting unaccompanied, knowing full well I've told them your HR don't know what they're doing. It's best you take somebody with you.
And sometimes if you're in a situation where you feel like an outsider, you feel like there's no one to ask. But I'm like, especially if it's the kind of thing that would result in your dismissal, now is the time to swallow your pride. Yeah. Like, just ask somebody that you get, like somebody, even if they don't love you, someone that don't hate you.
For real.
Ask them. And if anything, for the tea alone, they might want to go. For
real. And sometimes I think it helps, like when somebody else at work sees what's going on. I think it helps in terms of HR, the manager, everyone has to put their best foot forward in that meeting.
Like if they were in the meeting and they were going to say ridiculous things, they
it's
won't
not
say
now.
That.
Yeah,
especially if they don't want to look bad, isn't it? So I think it helps to keep them in check of what they do and what is said in the meeting, for sure. Because when it's just you by yourself, I mean, it's two people's word against one, which is bad. But
have you ever accompanied someone as like a peer rather than your HR capacity? Yeah. How did that go?
It was earlier in my career. I wasn't in HR.
Oh, okay.
So I was there, but you know me, I'm a chatty patty, so I was asking bare questions. So it was a disciplinary, and I was asking a lot of questions, and then nothing. There was no they got some sort of warning, but I think it was even verbal. It wasn't even a written warning in the end. I'm not saying it was down to me, but Yeah, but I definitely think like those kind of times where there's it's not even a strong allegation or whatever. If you have someone to support you and they don't look dumb, they might just let go.
Do you know what else I wouldn't do? And I'm kind of indirecting somebody I know right now. And obviously there's a lot of factors that play into this. But if I've been somewhere more than 2 years, yeah, and I feel like all of a sudden things aren't really going my way performance-wise or whatever it is, don't resign. I wouldn't resign.
No, GT.
What?
No, what do you mean not going your way performance-wise? Like people are starting to tell you, oh, your performance is not good.
Yeah. I wouldn't leave.
Oh, I'm with you. I wouldn't either.
Yeah, you drag me. Like, I'm not
kicking
moving.
And scream. Not even kicking and screaming. Just, you know, like you just make yourself heavy.
Yeah, literally. Unless you're really unhappy, I would stay.
Yeah.
Like, you want me gone, you know what to do.
Yeah, and the thing is, obviously, I might leave if it gets to a certain stage. But when you're just having them, if I've been there for more than 2 years, yep. And that's why the 2 years thing is important.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
If I've been there for more than 2 years and you're telling me our performance ain't good, okay. And
do
so what? Where do we go from here?
I hear you.
Okay.
Now what?
Cool. Lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to have at least one warning. Well, maybe when I get the first warning, cool. But before that, knowing that, and you know, one thing I've learned, which has really helped me in my career, is that most people are like so non-confrontational. I am quite a non-confrontational person in my life.
That's why they resign.
But at work, listen, I won't bring confrontation, but if you bring it to me, I'll be fine. I'll hold my own.
For all.
Like when you challenge someone directly, obviously as a black woman, you gotta be careful, unfortunately, because people say all sorts of things. But like when you actually challenge someone directly and you say to them, okay, but we're here now. A lot of the time they're just shocked.
Because it's all like, not everywhere, but a lot of HR processes, it's a psychological game, you know. It's psychological warfare on that employee, because if you're going through a performance thing, deep down, they're hoping you don't get to the end and you just make a decision.
How many times have you ever seen someone get to the end of a performance thing where they've like been on a pip and then they've had first warning, second warning? It's
so rare. It's so rare.
Because it really takes somebody respectfully, yeah.
Bad resilient.
Not even resilient. Like I think you have to be a very shameless person to get to the end of that pip thing where it's like, okay, you want to pip for however many weeks or months.
Second
warning, final warning, like dismissal. Like no, I've seen it happen once, and I'm like, you literally have to have no self awareness to know where
it's very rare that happens.
Somebody needs to pull you aside and say, look, the writing is on the wall. Like now the writing's on the wall. Like you need to, now is the time. And that's what I'm saying. When I get to that point as an employee, that's when I'm gonna start doing what I'm doing. Otherwise, no, you can settle me out.
Yeah, literally. I'm not going nowhere, but I can if you want me to.
You want me to go now? We'll talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Otherwise, see me in 4 months.
Yeah, because I know someone that the person I'm indirecting, where they've basically left. They've been there 3 years. They've just started to hear things about their performance, and rather than just wait it out, they resigned. And they didn't talk to me about, and it's annoying because this person is literally direct family. They didn't talk to me about it, and it's just like, why wouldn't you talk to me about it? Like,
but because you know, it is one of the big fears that people have is being fired. I would never. That's one thing.
People don't like it.
As an employee, I would never fear being fired.
Me either. Get rid of me. It's cool.
Okay, cool. I won't die.
Yeah,
like
literally.
I actually won't die.
What are you gonna do? Tell my next employer because you can't. So
no, but what are you really gonna do? Like, what is going to happen? The reason that you left. Okay, cool. They're not gonna give you that in the reference. Like, what some might do. Some small companies.
That don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, but I wouldn't fear being fired. I wouldn't let the fear of being fired dictate all my decisions or
but that's what it's
influencing how I move.
That's what it does, and that's what I mean by it's psychological warfare on employees. Because when you go through these different HR processes, even if HR know by the end of it this person is getting a first written warning, the employee's head has already gone to dismissal without them saying anything. Do you know what I mean? So and that's what causes that. Do you know what? Let me just fly this white flag
Yeah,
before
yeah.
they come and tell me.
Yeah, because
Before
if they
they do it
fire
for
me,
me.
I'll have a black mark on my record.
Yeah, you know,
in
blood
blood,
when you
in the that they've attached to my NI number. Like,
you know, when you get them people that are like, oh, you know, will this go on my record?
what record? What record?
Literally.
There is no
You mean
government database.
Google Drive?
There's no government database here. There's no HMRC Google Drive which says if you were fired or not. Like when they say you're like, it's like when you watch them high school like sitcoms or whatever, and they're like, oh, it's gonna go on your permanent record. It's like there's no permanent record. If your
Literally.
company is wild enough to tell your next employer, then sorry for you. But like, this isn't gonna go on my record. I'm thinking, what record are we talking about?
I love that. It always makes me smile inside because I'm like, oh, bless you.
Sometimes I just help him, like, you know, if you do want someone to like resign, sometimes it's helpful in HR, and they're like, okay, well, if I resign, they're like,
what would my
I will
reference?
purposely, you can purposely leave it vague, isn't it? So you'd be like, oh, well, to be honest, if you like, obviously it would go down as a dismissal, obviously internally, but if you resign now, then obviously we probably won't take it further. Because we
It's all
won't.
psychological warfare.
Yeah. Because we won't take it further. Because why would I go through the process of doing a disciplinary for someone who is leaving? There's no point. I've only ever done it once, and it was sexual harassment, and it was to make a point, and it was said that person didn't get their notice pay, so whatever. But yeah, I'll be honest with them, but it is psychological. There's a lot of stuff that you're missing out of the thing to kind of lubricate the process.
Yeah, like some of the seeds that you drop when you have those
It's
conversations.
wicked, you know? This is why they hate us.
You look at a person, yeah, it could lead up to and including dismissal.
Yeah. Like, obviously we haven't made up our mind, but I have to tell you that it is a possibility.
Yeah, but you'd get a standard reference. You know, there'd be nothing in there, blah 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 blah. Like all these conversations when you get these questions,
and they're asking questions like, okay, if I don't want to go through that? I said, well, to be honest, like we are having to go through the process now. And what if I resign? I'm not going to tell you to resign.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you ask me the question, I'm going to give you the information that you
like,
need.
well, if you resign, then that would
Obviously.
be, you know, the end of your employment. We would not go through with this process.
Yeah,
as well.
but that's completely up to you. And I would encourage you. I would encourage you to, like, especially like a disciplinary is a way to defend yourself and to put forward, you know, a case for yourself. So if you do feel like there's extenuating circumstances or something that you do want to put forward, like, I would encourage you to do so.
Yeah.
But obviously, I do need to let you know that obviously if you do resign, to answer your question, that we wouldn't go through with it. But
it's entirely up to you. You know, you don't have to give me an answer right now. You just think about, you know, what it is you want to do. Yeah.
4:59. Ping. Resignation.
I'm gonna hand in my resignation. A lot of people don't like HR.
That's why no, but sometimes it is actually in everybody's best interest to do it, for you to resign.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just in the company's best interest, and sometimes it's definitely in yours. So it just depends. But
sometimes the writing is just on the wall, and it's like, but it's always the people who the writing is big capital letters on
that
the
want to
wall,
ignore it.
that will, the shameless ones that will go through one pit,
the ones who actually care about their reputation. And the worst part is the ones who care about their reputation and usually do hard work and those sorts of things, because they care so much,
they resign.
They're the ones who will resign.
Yeah.
When
it's
really
true.
they could actually, like,
it would have been all right.
Yeah, you could actually.
Yeah, but
fight
because
your
of
case.
that, sometimes when I do disciplinaries, if I feel like the person is really worried, and we know that like they're genuinely a good employee, sometimes on the invite I'll put up to and including final written warning instead.
Yeah, and also if dismissal's not on the cards, then it's not on the cards.
Yeah.
And I think that's important as well. It is so psychological.
Yeah, because you have to read.
Sometimes you do have to, like, go through a disciplinary process, but you can see that you're not going through it because we hate you or because you're not here, but you have actually done something wrong, and we do think you could learn from it, and we will forget it afterwards and it will all be fine. But we have to go through this process, and you can just tell them, you can be like, look, unfortunately this is what the situation is. If we haven't made our mind, but if you were to get like a warning or whatever, it's not something that is insurmountable. Like, we know that you do good work. Your manager has said you do good work, but that's more for conduct issues. If somebody has done something like where Yeah, and maybe a little bit of like negligence or something like that.
Yeah, like
bit of poor timekeeping. But it does do like two things when you put someone through disciplinary. I always say to managers, it will do one of two things. It will either, for conduct issues, especially when they're not severe conduct issues like lateness and that kind of thing, it will either make the person pull up their socks and be like, oh crap, this is serious, or it will show to them that they can't be asked and they'll just leave. It's one of those two things that it usually does.
Yeah.
And I've seen people get stuff like that and they do pull up their socks because they just needed to be gingered a little bit to know that this is serious.
We say all that to say be accompanied if you
be accompanied. The permanent record.
I love that.
Oh, let go on my record. No, that is funny. I've got another one.
Go on.
This is actually, it feels contradictory, but it's not contradictory. Burning bridges when you leave. I wouldn't. Like, I don't know if you agree, but I would, when I leave a company, I always try to leave in the best possible terms. Doesn't mean they're going to work me like a horse until I leave, but I will, like, especially if you work somewhere which is incestuous, I would never do any of that, like, rubbish, because you will meet your colleagues somewhere else.
Yeah.
So personally, professionally, you will see them.
Yeah, I've never left any company that I've worked for. Oh, that's a lie, actually.
I know one. Yeah.
I think everyone who listens to the pod knows what I just remembered in my head. Apart from the school, and I'll burn it again.
To the ground.
Apart from the school, everywhere else I've worked, I can walk back into that building today, and I've got good relationships.
The only time I would say, cool, I don't mind if you're doing some sort of whistle blowing or something like that. Yeah, you burn it. Yeah, burn it to the ground.
The school was too crazy for me. Like everything I was hearing, everything I was seeing, how they treated me, I was like, do you know what? You can actually go to hell. Like, I don't care. And then the day I left, the next day they messed up my pay. I rolled up in a tracksuit.
I know, you told me.
Yeah, like
was it some holiday?
Yeah. I was like, I'm not going anywhere until this is sorted out, because it's not me you're going to do dirty because you're bitter about the fact that I'm leaving. Like, no. But apart from that, I know burn bridges. And you know what? Starting my own business, there's companies that I didn't love, but I have contacts from those companies, or people that I didn't necessarily love working with, but I can always be honest and say if you're good at your job, and people know that I'm good at my job, and not leaving and not being a dick about it has helped me to have good relationships and a good reputation. Also, it doesn't even matter why. It doesn't even matter if you're justified. Most of the time, people, like, they're going to hear this information secondhand from your manager or something who maybe is missing context, and the manager's not going to say what they did to encourage you to do what you did. I do think it's quite hard to burn a bridge, though. People do it all the time. I do think that's quite hard. Do you know what? Here's an example. You hand in your notice and you start calling in sick. That's an example. It feels small and it feels insignificant. It's sending a big message. Yeah, it's one of the things that while I'm handing my notice, I don't care. Yeah, because now I'm thinking about it. Like, I'm going through every place that I've worked in terms of like my HR career, and I'm in touch with all my managers. Because you exactly. Or like not refusing to do handover, or doing a very, very, very poor handover. Which is just rubbish. Even then, it's kind of like, I get sometimes we're not, like, you're not feeling great about it, but it is just, it makes you look bad. It doesn't matter what came before it just makes you look bad. What other things? Just like talking, the people that just become chatty when they're on their notice period, like they're just telling everyone this, slagging off the company that they worked for 5 years and never had any issues. Now they got a new job, they're brand new. That sort of stuff. Everybody knows somebody at another company. All it takes is one quick LinkedIn search. All it takes is just a quick, you and so were at the same company at the same time. All the time where I work now, when I was at Meta, what do you think about them? Always hear like, even when like a new person starts, or there's like something going on, they'll be like, yeah, me and so were at Microsoft together, blah, blah, blah. And I've come here. So yeah, I think there'll be like, it happens all the time in all departments. Like, you have to be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had opportunities in my career to really ruin people, and I haven't taken any of them. And to be honest, I regret some of them. Because there's people that I know that are just not nice people, or they've done really bad things, and people have asked me about them, and I don't know what it is. There's like, I don't know, but I don't like to be messy. If it's about other people, I can be messy all day. But anything that has my name in it, I don't want to be too messy.
Yeah, I hear that. I feel like,
unless it's my code. Like if you ask me,
that's what I was gonna say.
I'm gonna be messy. I'm gonna send you screenshots.
Yeah. I mean, I did it.
Yeah.
I told you, like, don't hire him.
That sort of thing. If it's like more of a contact, then I'm not.
Then you'll be a bit more cautious.
But if it's anyone I know, I'm gonna say, please don't hire that person.
Yeah. For your own sake.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. So yeah, I agree. Like, as a HR person, no, you can't burn bridges. It's too easy to find out what you did or who you are. Like,
I did see a story about you know that thing we spoke about, where people have access to company information and they steal stuff. I saw a story recently where an employee deleted like a bunch of stuff because they like. I
think I saw this.
They deleted a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Imagine that person now asks you, like, you're not a trustworthy person.
Yeah, for all. You have to be careful. Something I wouldn't do personally, I mean, it works for some people and I've seen it, but I personally wouldn't have a romantic relationship with somebody that I work with.
Yeah. People get married from it, but it could never be me. I was going to say, if you're doing it, let it be serious, but you don't. How do you even know if it's serious?
You don't.
You know that if you like them, but you don't know what it's going to come. And if everyone took that advice, there'd be lots of people that are not married now, I'm sure. But also there would be probably a great number of people who have avoided a lot of heartache and embarrassment and having to move jobs or departments or whatever.
Yeah. When I worked for a smaller company, the swapping and I enjoyed myself. I enjoy it. It was like, so and so went on a date with so and so, and I'll be like, but weren't they going out with so and so? You're like, yeah. So like, everybody knows your business because you're bringing you're literally like, what's the saying?
Shitting where you
eat. Yeah, literally, like, that's what you're doing. So everyone will know when you break up, when you're together, when you get. That could never be me.
When I worked at Deloitte, it was very incestuous. One of my really good friends, she actually met her husband there. They're still together. She works there. He doesn't now. But it was so incestuous. Like, I've never seen, like, in a department of maybe like 120 people, there was no less than like 6 or 7 couples, which I think is quite a lot.
I think it's all the time people spend at work. Like, even me, one of my friends, she met her husband while working at PwC, and they're very much like, neither of them work there now, but they're both like, they're married and together. So
yeah, it's just like, I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't, because especially as a woman, I just, like, reputationally, you always come out on the worst side, and we can do all we want to do. Independent women, we should be able to do everything. We should be able to do everything, and we shouldn't be judged in the same way.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we will. And also, that's not even the main thing. It's more just how it affects your work. Will you be able to do the same work if you break up, which on the balance of probability you will?
Mate, I've seen some tears in the workplace.
No.
I mean, we spoke about heartbreak in the workplace.
Imagine the heartbreak we spoke about, and then you come to work to look at the face of the person who broke your heart. No, I have to leave. I saw that. And I was just like, this is crazy. I have to leave. I have to find another job. I need to resign with immediate effect.
Yeah, that's all the repercussions that come with dating somebody in the workplace. Like, if it doesn't work out, unless your company's big enough for you to actually avoid each other.
Even then, imagine you've been building your, like, maybe if the company's big enough for you, but imagine you've been in the company, you've been doing a good job, you're happy where you are, and now you feel like you have to leave.
Yeah.
And on the balance probability, obviously,
the woman will be the one that leaves.
Not even the woman, she'll be the one that suffers most. I don't even know if she'll be the one that leaves, but the guy will probably be walking around like whistling.
Yeah,
maybe he'll be crying. Maybe he'll be crying at night. Who knows?
But in the workplace,
no. he'll be fine.
Game face.
Yeah,
definitely.
Because I'll fight.
Yeah, I couldn't do it for my own personal reasons of Like, I don't know what type of crazy will take over when the guy that I'm seeing, and now like we're not together and he's sitting with another woman at lunchtime. Like, I don't know, innit? So for personal reasons, I couldn't do that. Professionally, I couldn't do it because, like I said, everybody just knows what's going on and everyone wants to know what's next.
And I'm not really a big fan of coming to work in general and sharing your business, but even if you don't, when you are dating somebody
it's
at
just
work,
naturally
your
gonna
business
happen.
is there. And also people feel more entitled to know your business when you're dating somebody. Like it becomes like communal, your relationship becomes communal property.
Yeah. If you do break up, everybody's eventually gonna know. Like, it's just,
even people that you don't F with, do you know what I mean? Even those people be thinking like they know about you.
Yeah, I think it's different. For example, like I work with a lot of people and have that they were there and their partner has come
because
to work
they've
for
referred
this.
the person.
Yeah, that's fine. But when it's like we locked eyes in the lifts,
and that was that was the beginning of the beautiful love story until they broke up.
But with that being said, we know there's statistics that show like a high number of people meet their spouse in the workplace.
Yeah, but it's because there's no statistics to show all the heartbroken people. And I doubt that it makes, like, I doubt that of all the work relationships that start, the majority end in marriage. It is definitely a tiny
it's not the first rodeo.
And the rest of them end in heartbreak, resignation, disciplinary grievance.
Definitely. Oh, that's wild. But yeah, so that's my not to do.
Where are we on time? Okay. Let me look at what else I wanted to add. Okay. So I would never accept verbal promises or verbal commitments that are not documented. So it kind of comes back to what you said about, like things being documented and people make you uncomfortable. Even those kind of like, pay rises, going on some sort of learning and development, going on a course, paying for your CIPD, funding this, funding that, you're going to get to do a specific type of work, you're going to get exposure to this, all of that stuff, let it be documented, because people will become, the amnesia will kick in when people want it to kick in. Like if someone said, oh yeah, don't worry, next performance round, we'll be looking at your pay. Even that's vague. What, you're going to look at it and say what?
And say shining.
Yeah. Even that stuff like, you need to know exactly what was said, because when it comes to performance round, it can't be that, oh yeah, we said we'd review your pay. We never said we would increase your pay. If you said you're going to increase my pay, write down that you're going to increase my pay. Even better, write down how much you're going to increase it to. I don't want to be like, oh yeah, wink, wink, handshake. And then suddenly you don't remember the conversation we had.
Listen, I think this happens too often. It happens too often with employees where I see it so many times where people will be like, my manager said that they were going to do this, that, but then now the performance review has come round and that they haven't mentioned it.
Then you ask the manager, what does the manager say?
Well, there's nothing written down.
Yeah, and the manager will say, oh, to be honest, I think they might have misinterpreted
miscommunication. Yeah.
That's not what I was saying. I was saying that we would review the pay.
Yeah.
Not that we would increase it, and we have reviewed it and we've decided that it's going to stay the same.
Yeah, no, follow-ups with that stuff is so important, because I feel like a lot of managers feel uncomfortable having those conversations where money is involved, promotions are involved, and just general like career growth when they don't know the future of the company. Sometimes, if they like you as well, they don't want to shut you down completely. So they might say, oh yeah,
dangle a little carrot.
They'll be like, oh, let's take a look at this in the next performance cycle and see what we can do. What does that mean? See what we can do.
It literally means nothing. And then the worst part is, employees will hop, skip and jump away thinking yeah. So be like, how did the conversation go? I spoke to my manager. It was a really good conversation at the end. They said that when the next performance round comes,
I'll get promoted at the end of the year.
So I'm working towards a promotion now. It's pretty much in the bag. Like, even if that wasn't what was said.
That's so sad. Yeah,
you have to be clear.
It's
you have
true.
to understand exactly what was said, and that's the same for when you're accepting a job as well, because sometimes you get a standard contract, which is fine, but all of anything additional that you've negotiated or that you've been promised, let it be an addendum, let it be in an email, let it be somewhere. They're sending you a standard contract, they've agreed to pay for your CIPD and it's not in there.
Just literally put it in an email so that when the time comes, or even before the time comes, you put it in an email at that point, they're reading your words. There's no miscommunication. There's no misunderstanding. You're
Even if they
basically
don't
confirming.
respond,
Yeah,
even if they don't respond,
it's there.
They know that it was your expectation.
Yeah, exactly. That it's all confirmed in that email. So when the time comes and you don't get that CIPD allowance to pay for it or whatever it is, it's now okay. But on this date, at this time, this is what we said. What has happened since then?
Yeah.
Now you have something to stand on. Yeah, that happens too often.
There's two things that happen. The first one is, something was said and that was never documented, and the person actually never said it, or the person genuinely forgot that they said it, because people be saying things like it's not important conversation to them. And the second thing that happens is that the conversation happens, but it is genuine miscommunication. So you're both talking at cross purposes. So one of you thinks you're talking about one thing, the other one thinks you're talking about something. Once you've written it down,
that's it,
or you've followed up, or if you haven't heard from them, whatever, at least that point, if there's an issue, it will come out at that point when they've written it down and you're like, that's not what I thought. And they're like, oh, this is what I thought. And then you're either happy or you're unhappy, but you know what the situation is, rather than, trying to shake my hand and then I forget. Because they can genuinely forget the conversation. One more?
Okay. What else would I not do with what I know as an employee? I'm trying to think. I feel like there's a lot of stuff.
I think one of the ones you said was you wouldn't stay in the company if you weren't.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I did. I said, I wouldn't stay in a company when I get to the point where I can do my job basically with my eyes closed, and it just doesn't feel like there's any growth coming anymore.
Why's that?
Personally, like, I'm somebody who needs to be challenged at work. I like it when I get to a point where I can do my job really easily, but once I get to that point, it's like, okay, I've accomplished that and I need to move.
Yeah, or you need your role to grow with
evolve.
you.
Yeah. It needs to evolve with me. If it doesn't, then I start to get a bit itchy and like, what am I going to do? So obviously, depending on circumstances and how you feel about work, you might not be that person that's trying to evolve into the next.
And depends on where you are in your journey, like on what you're doing. So for instance, if you're like, there'll be times in your life where you just are fine to chill. Like you just bought a house, you just had a baby. Like, not saying if you just had a baby you'll chill, but certain of these kind of things you might think, oh, do you know what, I'm all right to chill for a year. But then as soon as you're back to like wanting to be challenged,
when I deeped it, like, because when I was off on maternity leave, I was like, okay, this is nice, I get all this paid off time and whatever, and I had just been promoted before I went on maternity, so I thought I was gonna stay there. And the more I thought about it, I was like, do you know what, I need something a bit different. I'm doing this too easily. I love that for you. So, and by the time I went back to work, my son was 15 months, so he's a baby, but he wasn't like baby. So I felt like, okay, now I want to exercise my brain. I haven't exercised it in
this way.
In such a long time. So, but that's just I wouldn't do it. And also, I do feel like when you have been in a job a long time, you have value, but the way your value is perceived in the workplace, it changes. So when you've been somewhere for a long time, companies appreciate the fact that you know where everything is, you know how everything works. But in terms of how they tend to reward those people, it's not the same as if
bringing in new knowledge from outside.
Exactly. So that's another reason why I wouldn't stay in the same job for longer than I have to. So it might be that I'm in the same place for 10 years, but that means that my job has evolved. So it's not the company, it's the role that I'm talking about.
And I would add to that, it's slightly different but related. I would never stay in a company. I would never let a company price me out of my job. So, for instance, or if I did, it'd have to be a good reason. So I see sometimes now, like, let's say you're in a company that pays really high. It might be like, if it's a sector, that's fine. But like, you've been in your job so much, you're and in conjunction with not learning, you're being paid a lot, because what that means is that you kind of end up stuck at that company because they're not teaching you the things that you need for other people to pay you more money, but they're paying you more money, which means that eventually you will earn too much to go and get a job at the same level. Your level of knowledge and your level of pay are not, like, they're not equal. So when you try and interview for roles at the same salary or higher, which you probably want a higher salary when you go to your next role, they're going to be looking at you like, no.
Why?
They're going to be looking at you like you're not ready. And when you go to interviews and stuff, like, you'll see it. And I see that a lot where, like, people have been, like, taking a lot of money, but the learning hasn't caught up. If your company wants to pay you lots of money and they're going to teach you as well, go for it. But if they just want to pay you and they're not teaching you, it just means that you have to stay there.
Yeah, I think I can say this, even though it's really recent because it's where I work now. But when I started, my job role was to do with ER for all of EMEA, which in itself is like, it's a big region, like, it's, you know what I mean? And then I started to cover APJ, which is like all of Asia, Australia, New Zealand, all of that stuff. And because where I work, they're really good with, like, work-life balance and stuff. My manager asked me, like, you know, do you want us to take it back? Like, do you want us to take Asia and Co back? Because
of the time difference, you have to work different hours,
exactly,
right?
because like, during this time, some of the countries I was working with are like tens of hours ahead of me. So I was the one who was like, nah, I'll keep it, because I started to think, do you know what, if I want to move, because I'm very comfortable with EMEA, like, you can pretty much put me in any country and I can do ER there, but I don't know much about that side of the world. So I was like, do you know what, because at first I was like, yeah, take it back, because, you know, I'm like but then I was like, do you know what, this is actually good for me, because this means that I could actually, like, slip into, eventually, whether it's there or somewhere else, I could slip into a global role rather than just an EMEA role if I want to. Or it means that I can now manage people who are in that side of the world and EMEA. So I was like, do you know what? I'm going to keep it. And I've only been there 8 months.
It's
so
a great skill set to have, like, to be able to, like, even me, like, I've in the past worked in international environments, but certain countries I haven't worked with. And for instance, now I do a lot of work with the Netherlands. And to be honest, I hate it there. Like, like, Dutch law is crazy, but I feel good. Like, you know, I was saying today, like, I felt really productive. It's because I did a lot of work on some Dutch stuff, and I was like, do you know what, I've learned. Like, I felt like today was like a good day. Like, I absorbed so much stuff.
Right now I'm learning a lot about New Zealand. I'm having a lot of crossover with them, and
Australia is quite similar to the UK, right?
So is New Zealand, but they're just a little. I mean, I feel like UK law is very pedantic already when it comes to employment. I feel like Australia and New Zealand are even more pedantic. Like, if the UK were really on their Zoom, they would be like them.
In every way.
Literally. From the Prime Minister who stepped down, big up her, to everything else.
I love that though. She was just like, this job is like, I'm not the right person anymore.
See what I mean? That's exactly what I'm talking about though. She knew, like, she did what she came to do. She knows that, you know, whether she feels like she's outgrown the role or just she felt it and she's moved on.
We stand her, because if it was this country, they will hold on to that. Look at Boris Johnson.
Don't even get us started.
He held on to that until, like, you literally had to resign because that's the writing on. He is the perfect example.
Literally,
Boris Johnson is the perfect example of, you know, when you said as an employee you wouldn't leave. That's him. They're like, okay, we're gonna, like, you know, people. We're starting to give you the signal, but he's like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna drag me out? Literally. And he waited until literally the final side. He was like, okay, now I'm actually getting there. Like, let me not let it be on my record. Let me resign. Boris Johnson, that's literally what he did. Literally.
But I do think, like, you know, in terms of, like, staying in the same role and sometimes the same company, you're not valued in the same way. Like, if you were to move company, the chances are the pay rise that you'll get from moving the company is not what you'll get if you stay in the same company. So if, like, money is a motivator for you, especially in cost of living, then, you know, you might get to a point where it's like, let me take what they think is old knowledge somewhere where it will be new knowledge and actually prosper. I love going somewhere where it's like,
everything that you have is like, wow, that's one of the best feelings. And then you can take that and then you can build on it and do more stuff. But like where you go somewhere and they've never had like somebody like you or someone with your skill set, and everything is just amazing, but also there's bits that you haven't done before.
Yeah.
Perfect role.
Yeah, I love it. I'm the first to do my role where I am now.
That's like perfect.
So yeah, I'm enjoying it. Like yeah.
They must love you.
They do, and I love them. So Casa more, guys.
Yeah, no, we're good. We are literally bang on time.
I'm gonna miss like the first 10 minutes.
Have it on the background
because Lola. Yeah, I'm gonna have to put.
You know what? Yeah, you're not even appreciating our listeners right now. It's not me. We are here for a reason.
The thing is, I know
I'm gonna watch it in the car. I can't lie.
I know a lot.
Oh no, you're not even driving. You can watch it in the car.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so why are you moaning?
Because I'm gonna miss the first 8-10 minutes.
No, you won't. You can watch it in the car.
Yeah, but it's gonna be behind.
By how many minutes? It's only 1 minute, isn't it? If you stream it live. You just moaning for no reason. You don't even know how you're moaning. Anyway, guys, like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff.
That's a wrap, guys.
Bye.
Bye.